People can play their games however they want, but when you are getting paid to review an experience and then you admit that you did not experience a crucial part of that product, yeah, you're going to get absolutely wrecked. And that is what is happening to the journos right now, because Polygon has put up this article boasting about how the best way to play Death Stranding 2 is to skip all the boss fights, and gamers are not amused with that. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, you as a customer can play your game however you want. If you truly want to utilize the boss skip feature, you can. It is your copy of your game. It's like with mods. You can mod your copy of your game and it doesn't affect anybody else, and that's perfectly fine, right? The developers really, in this case, just wanted to create a movie. That's all Kojima's wanted to do for years, and they want to provide you a way to experience it in a very cinematic way. But when you are a video game journalist and your job is supposed to be playing and then reviewing games, and then you do not experience a crucial part of that game, you're going to get absolutely wrecked for it. And that's what's happening now, because this video game journalist is saying, I skipped all the boss fights and I pretended that I won. How can you review something as if you have the full picture and then not actually experience it? It just doesn't make sense to me. And especially with something as important as boss fights. In most games, the boss fights are the most important pieces of story and lore, and just also content in general. I mean, of course, there are Souls games where you have to defeat a boss dozens and dozens of times to be able to figure out their patterns and make it work. Or there's also just games where you have a boss fight where it's important to the story, and if you skip it, you're missing out on that firsthand. And of course, I'm going to wreck you every single time that happens. So this is of course, Polygon article. It says the pretend you won option in Death Stranding 2 on the beach is a small but radical little choice. It pops after you fail a boss fight and lets you skip the encounter entirely with a brief text explainer telling you how things would have unfolded if you won. You might get a lower ranking or miss one or two non-essential scenes for choosing this option, but there's no judgment, no restrictions, no downsides to bypassing something frustrating and choosing to engage with the parts of the game you really like. It's a brilliant, elegantly simple design choice, and I would be far less keen to keep playing Death Stranding 2 without it. It's funny, but I feel the complete opposite. I feel like the boss fights are the only thing that's really driving me towards playing more of it. Now, I did not hate the first Death Stranding. I really thought that the story was cool and the atmosphere was well executed. I liked a lot of the soundtrack. I thought that it gave you a really interesting experience, but of course, there's a lot of walking. It's kind of walking FedEx simulator, right? That's been the joke forever. And while Death Stranding 2 does give you much more combat, I think that the boss fights are really what is important. Like, that is almost kind of worth it to go through all of the boring segments. I mean, I haven't played the full game yet, so I can't tell you how cool or good the boss fights get, but I think that a lot of gamers would feel very differently from how Polygon does. I'm not saying this as someone who hates boss fights in video games or who struggles with them either. I beat Mesmer in Shadow of the Erdtree before From Software nerfed him, and I liked it. I like Death Stranding 2's bosses as well on a conceptual level. Their evocative encounters made all the more impressive by how Kojima Productions turned mechanically straightforward moments into memorable set pieces. They are basic, though. If you strip away the music, the effects, the influences some of these enemies have over the environment, you're left with the equivalent of a standard boss fight from any mid-2000 3D game. A small arena is home to a big boss with maybe 3 attacks, and you attack it, run away, and repeat. That's it. They say that the redeeming feature of Death Stranding 2's boss fights is that they're spectacles with an integral role of in the story, not just encounters thrown in as progression checks or to give you something to shoot at. Take the tutorial boss fight, for example. The giant BT that appears in the middle of Deadman's recorded message for Sam. Sure, the idea is to teach you how to handle giant enemies, but it's also another disruptive moment for Sam following a string of unwanted interruptions and emotional turbulence. Honestly, it really starts to sound like they don't even like the game all that much. That, oh my gosh, this important part to the game, the boss fights, they interrupt your experience, and that sucks. I feel like these people can say all they want that, oh, they're not that bad at boss fights and they can complete boss fights, yet really, when your job is to play a game, you should be playing the game, not watching the game, not skipping the game, not ignoring the game, playing it. I would never trust a review from somebody who has not actually truly played the game. They even say, and that's exactly why Death Stranding 2's Pretend You Won button is such a good necessary choice. As enjoyable as some of these battles can be under the right circumstances, this is not a combat game. It's a vibes game and a story game best played at your own pace. I mean, it's a movie game, true. That is what Kojima truly wanted to make, but at the same time, it is a game. It is not a movie. That means you should be playing the game as somebody who is paid to play games. And because Polygon has posted this, and has basically said that it's way more enjoyable if you skip all the boss fights, they are getting absolutely wrecked by gamers. Life is way more enjoyable if you skip reading all Polygon's articles. I don't know how they expect to stay relevant when they are saying video games shouldn't really be games. This is just not a take most people are going to agree with. You guys okay over there? Newsletter seems a little light this week. It's just a bunch of R's. Pretty sure we demand more out of toddlers than game journalists. Fitting shapes into holes is more effort than this press A to awesome stuff. I highly disagree. I went into this boss with not enough ammo or grenades. Having the other players throw you stuff while this boss is doing its thing was an experience. Thought the first boss fight was more fun than most of the boss fights in DS1, to be honest. Journo's never beating the allegations. Journalist mode remains undefeated. Is there anything that game journalists hate more than playing games? And at this point, I don't really think so. They constantly complain whenever they get an opportunity about video games, and they also think that, oh, a skippable boss fight utopia is upon us, and oh, South of Midnight is doing it, Death Stranding 2 is doing it, and here's all the reasons why this is so good. Again, the reason why there is a story difficulty in the game is so that, yeah, you have to still do boss fights, but everything is super easy. And, well, 90% of the game is just still walking. It's really not that tough. Of course, a game journalist would say that. Nothing says masterpiece more than phrases like these. Yeah, these are also the same people who are giving this experience like a 9 out of 10 or even a 10 out of 10, saying it's a game of the year contender and it's going to, sweep at the Game Awards. If this wins over Expedition 33, I will be, of course, not particularly shocked given the state of the industry and that these people have votes, but I would be very disappointed to see that Walking Simulator 2.0 was the winner. Obviously, you're allowed to enjoy whatever game you want, and this person can enjoy Death Stranding 2 and skip all the boss fights if they want, but if you are getting paid to play games and then you admit you do not actually want to play games, I am going to judge you so fucking hard, and clearly other gamers feel the same exact way. They literally just want a movie or a visual novel maybe, which is fine, but stop pretending you're a gamer though. Bait used to be believable. These aren't gamers, nor are they journalists. They are activists. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of pieces like this over the next couple of days. Journo's coming out and saying how amazing of an experience this is simply because you can skip integral parts of the game. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.